everyone, it is the Bookatarian here for another video. So today I thought I would do a book review off of a book that I just finished like a week ago. And by finished I meant finished the reread of about a week ago. And it is The Trials of Apollo, The Hidden Oracle, book 1 of this new series. I know this is book 2, but I don't own a physical copy to hold up, so I have a physical copy of book 2, and I will be holding this up and, well, probably not holding it up, but anyways, so I will be doing a review on the first book of Rick Riordan's newest series called The Trials of Apollo. Now, if you don't know what this is about, a brief summary is after the events of the Heroes of Olympus series, Zeus wanted to blame someone for the fallout and the inevitable embarrassment of the gods that everything in that series happened. So Zeus decides to blame Apollo, and to punish him, he turns Apollo into a mortal teenage boy named Lester Papadopoulos and exiles him to, I think, Manhattan, somewhere in New York City, that area. And so the book basically starts from there, and we kind of follow him as he meets this brand new demigod named Meg. And we don't know anything about her or anything of the sort. We just know that she is a seemingly feral demigod that has not been to Camp Half-Blood. And Apollo has woken up in an alley that's seemingly abandoned, and it's really dirty and, basic alley material. And it's been 6 months. Not that we realize that right away. We get told a little bit later on in the story that it's been 6 months since the end of the Giant War, and no one's seen Apollo since then. He's just been MIA, seemingly, and I can't help but wonder what it is with Riordan and his need for giving the characters like a time gap before the start of the next series. What the heck was Apollo's body just doing, chilling out? Didn't Zeus transform him into a tree or something to make him wait out the time before he was ready to throw Percy down, or Apollo down into that random alleyway? And right away he gets mugged. But I really love Apollo's reaction to his visage. Like the fact that he's lost his glorious 8-pack and now has flab. The horror, having flab. Hey, Apollo, I take offense to that. And he has acne and doesn't realize it right away. He's like, what's this strange rash I seem to have? And I'm like, oh no, I've got acne. And I mean, all of this appearance-wise is just made worse when he gets his nose broken and it turns and it swells up so it looks like a large purple eggplant. Oh, Rick Riordan and his descriptions, they're very amusing. Now, when we meet Meg, I pretty much have the same conclusion every time. She's a brat. She is a brat. She is a brat, but she's also a street rat. So she's had to struggle for everything, seemingly, that she's gotten, with her claim on this alley. And just like, get out of my alleyway! I rule this alley. In her weird traffic light fashion sense. It's nice that you have your own look, but also it's a little weird. And so we decide that Meg has not been to Camp Half-Blood at all. She doesn't know anything about it. She doesn't even know who her godly parent is, even though at this point Apollo had a few guesses as to who it might be, though he was hoping that it was wrong. Which I need a little bit more of an explanation as to why Apollo is feeling so unfortunate about Meg being a child of Demeter. Like, I want to know what the background is for that, because I've read everything Rick Riordan has written, and I don't remember anything talking about how Demeter and Apollo have bad beef. So I'm just like, okay. Unless Demeter is just thinks Apollo's got the biggest head in the world. And so now we're en route and we get to Percy's apartment. Now, but he is in high school, finishing out his high school years, preparing for college. I'm so proud of Percy and all the effort that he's doing to put into his education so we can go to college with Annabeth and they can start their future together the way they're meant to. It just made me so happy to hear about every detail of his life, and also glad that we didn't have more of Percy because Percy just steals every show he's ever in. And so, we get to this point where we're deciding to go to camp and Percy's going to give them a ride. And what is with driving to camp and you get in a wreck? It's like an automatic thing with Percy Jackson. Everybody gets into a car accident if they got Percy Jackson in the car going to Camp Half-Blood. And I found it funny that there were still Blackjack's hoof prints on the car, on the Prius from the last Olympian when Blackjack landed on the car. I was like, oh, so they didn't go and get that fixed? Maybe it just wasn't a convenient place to get fixed simply for their tight living situation, I guess. And we got the Nostoi, the plague spirits, which are very interesting and really creepy. Oh my gosh, it was like a horror scene, just that whole fight when they're all trying not to get sick, and it was just like, don't get sick and die, could you not? And then Percy got like a cold. That was funny. Obviously, I'm glad it wasn't anything more serious, but I'm like, yeah, Percy, you really should have gone and gotten that checked out by by Will to make sure you didn't catch something more serious that had the symptoms of a cold. COVID. Seriously. Then again, COVID wasn't really a problem in the year that this was written, so. So they do all of that, they get away, thankfully without really getting sick. Peaches saves the day, which Peaches is very Groot-esque, which I like that a lot about him, and that he doesn't say anything but Peaches. It's very amusing. It kind of redeems the Carpoy spirits in my eyes, compared to the ones that we saw in the Heroes of Olympus series that were not so nice and on Gia's side. So it's nice to have those creatures somewhat redeemed in the eyes of just the readers. So we get to camp and there's only like 19 campers there, minus the ones that have gone missing. But yeah, there was that I was noticing as the reread. I was like, it's really weird that Dionysus isn't here to just like make fun of Apollo or something, because he would have done that. You can't really pretend not to know his name. Although I would have liked to have seen him try. Apollo would have not taken that sitting down. And then he would have shown up because, hey, buddy, you're no longer a god. And so, yeah, I was just really surprised that Dionysus wasn't there, and just now realized that, no, he wouldn't be there. And so, yeah, it's basically just normal camp stuff, aside from, of course, the missing campers. And they've all, the only thing they know about, or no, the only thing they know about it for sure is that they took off and didn't give any hint that they were leaving. They just spontaneously up and left, which didn't seem at all likely for each of them to have done, except for maybe the Aries kid. But everyone else, it was just completely random and didn't make any sense. Apollo's memory is very frustrating to deal with in this entire book. He doesn't remember anything helpful at all, which it would have been just very easy if he did, but the entire time I'm just like thinking, get there faster, come on, I want to know, even though I already know in some way, but it's nice to have it reaffirmed so I can remember the knowing originally. And so he has like these ideas forming about what could possibly be luring the campers away. and especially after the task of needing to reclaim all the oracles, um, he's got a pretty good idea about what it is that's luring the campers away from camp. And another thing that I thought was very amusing, I'm not really going to go into the camp activities that they did, just because it's pretty standard for Rick Riordan's stuff. Nothing really new that much happened aside from them using the labyrinth very unwisely, by the way, um, as a part of their exercises and such. So the task is assigned, and Apollo has to start with reclaiming the Grove of Dodona, which is conveniently in the woods of Camp Half-Blood. This is the first quest ever to not have 3 people, campers or whomever, go on this quest. It's just Apollo and Meg, which I think might have been an oversight because it just made no sense. You have a quest, you have 3. It's just what you do. Aside from that random Titan's Curse thing where they had 5 of them go out, why did they do that? So they go out to the woods of Camp Half-Blood, which they don't have to leave the camp. They're all within the borders of the camp. I'm just like, okay, weird. So, not all the aspects of the modern world twining into the mythology aspects were there. In this book, it wasn't as much because you obviously didn't leave camp. But the funny moments that we got with the geyser spirit gods were pretty good. How they're really, really heavy in marketing their tourist attractions. And I just thought Petey and Paul, yeah. Pete and Paul were great. They were just so desperate to get their 10 out of 10 rating. It was just so funny. And so we go through all of that, and Apollo, oh yes, another thing that I just kind of irked me is that Apollo, shortly after coming to camp, has made the decision that he will swear off picking up a bow or, what is it, singing or reciting poetry? I think both. He will do neither of the things that he's known for doing. And I'm just like, why? Why are you doing this? You're a god. You know how serious oaths on the river Styx are. And yet here you go, just swearing away. And I'm just sitting here like, you are going to regret that later, which he does. And he somehow manages to surpass that by making yet another oath to surpass the previous oath, but only to save Meg. Which, fine. But I'm just like, you shouldn't have made the first one to begin with, so you wouldn't have had to made the second one. But, yeah, I was really grossed out by the critter nest thing that they had to do. I don't remember what they're called, but the giant winged ants. Oh, it grossed me out so hard. And when Meg was freaking out and she fainted basically as she was being carried away, I'm like, yeah, don't blame you. I would have been doing all kinds of things if I were to get dragged away by giant ants. It would have just grossed me out and freaked me out, and I would have been hysterical for days after. He wouldn't have gotten anything out of me. No, Apollo just kind of goes with it, and so yeah, it was great how he handled the situation, but the monster still really grossed me out. And so they get to the grove, or the entrance of the Grove of Dodona, and Apollo and Meg, working together, are pressured into opening up the gates to avoid the murder of the hostage campers and the geyser god, as well as the burning down of the entirety of Long Island. Would have been just completely leveled to be Nero's stomping grounds. And I'm just sitting over here like, Meg, he's threatening to burn down an entire island populated by people, and you still think he's that great of a guy? Yeah. The whole ending of the book, how that went down, was really great. And I'm glad that Percy did show up at the end to help them out in that battle because they were severely understaffed. Interesting. Well, I suppose it was the winter time, kind of like late winter, early winter, so there wouldn't really generally, on principle, be that many campers there to begin with. But I was just like, man, how are they gonna survive all of this? But it turns out the giant colossus Nero, blah blah blah, wasn't that difficult to take down. Wasn't that difficult. There was still plenty of damage, but yeah, it was really nice to see the old some previous characters kind of make cameos throughout the story, like Nico and Will, of course, with their relationship, watching it, how it's not quite like cutesy romance boy type thing. It's more like just a really, really good friendship, and it's a budding thing. They're not super intense yet, which is nice, because if they had been like instantly, oh, we're so in love, I would have just been like, yeah, right. That's not realistic. Especially not when you're so obviously different in just about every way possible. But the whole doctor's note thing that they had as a running gag throughout the story was funny. And I just like that Apollo really got to know his three kids that were there. It was really sweet that he was like reminiscing with their each different parents that he was with, and how they all reminded him of their other ungodly parents, respectively, and how they were all three of them so different. Like, they literally all specialized in different aspects of Apollo. Like, Kayla was a really good archer, or is a really good archer. Austin is a really, really good jazz musician, and I think he's biracial. I think they mentioned him having cornrows, which is really nice diversity. And Will, of course, is a renowned healer. And I'm just like, that is great to just have them all be so different from each other. So it's not like they could just blend in and be easily forgotten. Um, and Apollo himself is a very diverse character, being bisexual. Um, well, I suppose that's basically it. But he specializes in a lot of things. And it was interesting to see that he felt bad about that, because he was like, I just couldn't stick to one thing. I had to be a god of many things, and he faults himself for that. It was just so interesting to see his point of view of being an immortal, and how by the end of the book he was like, yeah, I was kind of a pretty terrible immortal, and you start to see the building block foundation of him turning into just a better person, and that being a very large part of his many trials to get him back to god level in Zeus's eyes. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to talk about for this video. I've overviewed the events of the entire story, and I also just really liked the little stories that we got of Apollo's immortal godhood that we didn't know about previously, like his unrequited love story of Daphne, or with Daphne, and how that ended, and his accidental or intense love of Hyacinthus that ended up in his accidental death, and how they both were the only two people that he ever truly loved, and they both died in essentially because of him, and just how that's kept him from falling in love too deeply ever since then. It just goes to show how much of his character could be taken in so many different ways, and he has so much to explore, and like just discover about his life. We got a lot of possibilities here, and I'm really interested to know who the other two emperors are, because we obviously know Nero, the most infamous emperor of Rome ever. Yeah, he was just a really bad guy. Even before he was made a villain of this story, I always knew of Nero in a very infamous, negative way. So I'm kind of really glad that he got his opportunity to be a villain in one of Reardon's stories, because I know Rick is just so good at. He's just so good at writing all kinds of characters, villains, side characters, protagonists, bystanders that just happen to have the tiniest of influence on the story. He's just really good at doing it all, and so I know he'll take Nero in a really good direction. Not good as in morally good, but he'll develop his villainy well. And yeah, I don't know that much about um, the emperors of Rome. I'm kind of hoping, what is it, Romulus? I think Romulus was the first emperor of Rome, or he founded Rome. So I guess he probably wouldn't be a possibility, but he's like the only, that and Julius Caesar. I'm really hoping Caesar isn't one of the evil ones because he didn't really seem, well, maybe he did. But I'm still hoping that Caesar isn't one. I kind of want the other two emperors to be ones that I don't really know that much about, so I can learn more about them as we go along. And I also thought it was a really clever idea of Rick to write the villains of the story that are descended from Apollo himself. So Apollo feels in an underhanded sort of way that he is responsible for the fact that these people are all so evil, was that he didn't do something about them earlier, maybe prevented them from becoming these weird emperor-god hybrid things. And so it's just another nice twist to have to the story to make things more diverse from his other series that he's done in years past. So now I think that is all I have to say on the first book of the Trials of Apollo series, The Hidden Oracle. So I will wrap this video up here. Leave a comment down below, like it if you liked it, hit the subscribe button if you enjoy this content and want to see more. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video soon. Bye!